It's all about the macro productions.
What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tack Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Muammar Gaddafi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles and Fort Lauderdale?
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the CS hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
And now, macroaggressions.
That's what assholes call it.
With your host,
Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie Robinson.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard.
I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you are watching us on Rumble, Band.video, Vigilante TV, or you're listening wherever podcasts are served, thank you so much. We appreciate your amazing and continued support as we push toward, almost 10 million downloads. Pretty close. I'll let you know when we get there. We appreciate it. Have you rated the show yet? If you think we've earned 5 stars, we'll appreciate it. Apparently that matters for the algorithm, so we'll play that dumb game. Much love to our sponsors. They help to make this show actually happen. Christian Yordanev has been my certified health practitioner for the last couple of years now, and I'm never going back to a doctor. He's my man for that, man. I'll tell you what. We took a look under the hood when I turned 50 to see what was going on. We did an organic acids test. We've done several tests since that point, and we're compiling a nice list about what is going on inside my body, where I can optimize things, what I'm allergic to. If you're somebody that's struggling with your health, if you've got digestive problems, you have a hard time sleeping, you have brain fog, something like that, your hormones are out of whack, Christian can help. This is exactly what he does. This is it. This is right in his wheelhouse. I met a couple in Nashville at Third Eye Carnival who approached me. The husband had been in such bad shape that he couldn't even walk to the mailbox and back. His legs were swollen up. He didn't know what was wrong. He finally reached out to Christian. He heard about him through the show. They started working together. At the time I met him, they'd been working for 3 months, and he said, well, he took a look at what was going on inside me. We ran a couple tests, and it turns out I'm allergic to some of my favorite foods, and that was what was causing the swelling. He said he loves cashews. He has a big container of cashews next to his desk and eats them by the handful during the course of the day. Turns out he's seriously allergic to cashews and chicken, and it was making his body react in a negative way. He was so swollen up. And hopefully it doesn't get to the point like that for you guys, but if you're struggling with a condition, it may be fixable. You've got to give it a shot. And if you go to your doctor, boy, I'll tell you what, they'll put you on meds for sure before they do any of this stuff. But I suggest you talk to Christian. I really do. I trust him with my life. You can find him at livelongerformula.com and just tell him that you heard about him through this show, and you guys can do a free consultation, see if it's right for you. If it is, go for it. If not, that's okay. He's not going to be offended. But I'll tell you what, he is saving people's lives. Truly is. I met somebody in person who was changed because of their relationship now with Christian. So if you're interested, go to livelongerformula.com, take a look, see what you think, reach out to Christian Yordanev and tell him that I sent you. Also, do you have storable food? you should get some. It'll last you 25 years. It's not going to go bad. I mean, you'll have it for so long. Hopefully you'll never need it, but this is an insurance policy on, I don't know, fuckery, natural occurrences too. Yeah, that's out there as well. The people at My Patriot Supply have been nice enough to build a landing page for us. preparewithmacroaggressions.com. Link is down in the show notes. You can check it out and find out all the deals that they're running. It's constantly changing. Get yourself a 3-month supply of food. It'll just get delivered to your house. You get a couple very nice buckets. You can put them down in your basement or put them in a cabinet somewhere, and you've got it. You're sorted out. You can take care of this in about 10 minutes. And if you happen to be already squared away, good for you. You're ahead of most people. Maybe buy a bucket or two for somebody close to you. Maybe they're out of state. Your family members think you're crazy. Well, you don't have to freak them out. You don't have to tell them about the impending economic collapse. Just tell them that you're worried that there might be a tornado sometime, or maybe that they get some weather situation and they can't get out of their house for a week because they're snowed in, or whatever it is. Just get yourself sorted out with this food. You can go to preparewithmacroaggressions.com. It's not just food. They also have camping gear, survival items, all kinds of stuff going on over there. Better be a month or two early than a day late on this. God knows we saw it during COVID. So get yourself squared away. The links to all of these sponsors are always down in the show notes. I recognize people are sometimes driving around or doing, working out or whatever. You don't have time to write it down. That's cool. If you heard about somebody that you like on this show, just pull up the episode, scroll down to the bottom, and click on their links, right after you rate the show, please, and thank you. Well, listen, they're at it again. Exercise Polaris. Have you heard of it? Probably haven't. You heard of Event 201, didn't you? Oh, it's kind of like that, except it's brand new. They just started doing it. First week of April 2025, they had themselves a little party, and those cocksuckers at the World Health Organization are at it again because we didn't hang them the last time. So they're back, and they brought a bunch of their friends for another fictional virus simulation outbreak with a goal, quote, to test a new global coordination mechanism for health emergencies. Oh, they're so worried about health emergencies when they're not actively creating the health emergencies and then skewing the response so that the general public is terrified and unprepared and getting misinformation disguised as the science, right? So we're going to learn about it. You're gonna hear about it. You're gonna be frustrated, of course. We'll talk about who's involved, the countries that were participating in it, the international health agencies that were participating in it. There's a lot of them. This wasn't just some little one. We'll talk about what they have planned for it, and then ultimately what the World Health Organization is planning on doing with this information, because they are at the forefront of it. They're the ones running it, getting their story straight, at these meetings, actually conspiring. You know how we get called, you're a conspiracy theorist. What do you think these people are getting together and conspiring about trying to screw up your health? Yes, I do. I absolutely do think that they're getting together and conspiring. You know why? Because they do it and put it on video. That's why I believe what I believe. Not because I'm drunk at work thinking, I'll just imagine that these guys are really up to no good. They tell you what they're doing. They film it. It's on the calendar. It's not happening in some dungeon somewhere in some back alley. This is happening in New York City. And they bring in people from all over the world. It costs tons of money to put this on. It costs them millions of dollars to hold these simulations. So, excuse me for noticing. I mean, how many of these simulations that have eventually gone live do you have to witness before you think, well, gee, I think these guys might actually be up to no good? No shit. They're most definitely up to no good. It's so infuriating. You want to talk to a normie about COVID? tell them, do you know about Event 201? COVID was real, man. COVID was getting everybody. Everybody was dying from... No, they weren't. No, they weren't. No, actually, go look at the death numbers for 2020. They're lower than they were in 2019. It wasn't until 2021 that the death numbers actually started to go up. But that wasn't because of a coronavirus. That was because of the vaccines. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, but here we go again with these people. The World Health Organization's primary donor, the number one donor, used to be the United States. The United States is out now because Trump took them out. He took them out back his first time around, and then they put him back in, and now they're out again. So the primary donor is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now that they were, and of course they were behind Event 201 that happened in October of 2019, 6 months before COVID rolled out. And they were testing and simulating the outbreak of a novel coronavirus that came out of a bat cave and swept the world. Actually, in this case, it came out of like Brazil, whatever. And so when I see that they're doing exercises again, it doesn't make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Like when I see the fire department practicing at their facilities where they've got like building simulation, that makes me feel better. Practice makes perfect. I want those guys to know exactly how to deploy the ladders and where to put the water and how to get people out of burning buildings. Practice that all that you want. When I see these assholes practicing for a health emergency, air quotes, I get very nervous. Because I know that they're the ones that are going to be making the health emergency actually happen. They're the arsonist that calls in the fire. Hey man, there's a fire in that building over there. Boy, good thing you spotted it quickly. Yeah, I just happened to be walking down the street, noticed this fire. Yeah, I have a rap sheet for starting fires in my past, but this time, I swear to God, I was just lucky. No. So, I mean, let me ask the question. Are we 6 months away from another pandemic? 6 months from the first week of April, I guess? Because last time you guys did that with Event 201, it was 6 months and then the COVID situation kicked off. Are we role-playing in April for something that's going to happen first part of November? Are we? Maybe. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. So let's talk about what they're doing, because they're planning, I'm telling you right now, they're planning an avian flu pandemic. It's hard for me to say pandemic because I know it's not going to actually be a pandemic, but they're planning one with avian flu. This is not breaking news, though. I've got news. I mean, they've been plotting this for 20 years, 25 years. You can go back and look at all the avian flu scares that they've had in America and China and elsewhere. It's a favorite. They definitely love this one the best, but they haven't been able to really get it to stick. But practice makes perfect, and they're going to certainly try again. And I'll tell you right now, this one will be global. And the reason why I know it's going to be global again is because the players involved are international in scope. So, who is here? Which countries were represented at Exercise Polaris? Well, Canada, Colombia, Costa Rica, Denmark, Ethiopia, Germany, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Mozambique, Nepal, Pakistan, Qatar, Somalia, Uganda, and Ukraine. As if Ukraine doesn't have enough going on right now. Let's drop some bird flu on you assholes while we're at it. Oh, that'll be great. So these are the players that were there. This is not to say that it will only happen in these countries. I'm just telling you who's there. I can't go into a meditative Nostradamus state and tell you exactly where it will all break out, because they didn't go into that much detail here. You just know that it will. And you know it'll be, you know that the fear campaign will be ramped up to 11 when it kicks off. Personally, I can't believe they're trying this again within 5 years of COVID because, well, people are starting to ask questions about it. Even the normies are starting to ask questions. They're starting to wonder why so many people that they knew or, died during the protocols and got their lungs blown out on ventilators and weren't allowed to say goodbye to their families. And now there's questions about the vaccines. I mean, we had questions about the vaccines before there were even vaccines for it, because we know who these people are and what they're plotting. But the normies out there didn't have any questions during COVID. They were, you've got to put your mask on. You got to protect me. Your mask saves my life and my mask saves your life. Oh, guess shut the fuck up. No, it doesn't do any of that stuff. But it doesn't mean that you won't have a bunch of hysterical freaks trying to tell you your business, and that's going to be coming. So if you live in any of these countries, surprisingly, United States, not on the list. Not on this list for some reason. Oh, we'll get it. Don't worry about it. We'll get it for sure. But we're just not on this list. The United States has been actively depopulating in many of these countries. Many of the countries that did show up: Mozambique, Nepal, Pakistan, Uganda, Somalia, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, Colombia. I mean, a case can be made that we've been depopulating in Canada as well, but it's not part of Kissinger's memo, is December 10th, 1974 Memorandum 200, which outlined the United States policy towards the third world of prioritizing depopulation. So we know that that's going on, and we know that several of the countries that are on that list are at this totally fictional scenario. This exercise Polaris. So these are the countries that were involved. There are also international health agencies that are represented here, and they are as follows: UNICEF, United Nations Children's, the African CDC, the European CDC, the Red Cross, Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network, and also the International Organization for Migration. Migration, you say? Interesting. We're worried about migration? So what was the simulation about? Well, I'll tell you. The usual. Fear. Let's scare everybody. This one was a bit ambiguous, though. They didn't get into... This wasn't the SPARS pandemic document where it gets into real detail, and it takes place over the course of multiple years in this. This was a different one. They kept it pretty amorphous in terms of what actually... They didn't say it was a coronavirus. They didn't say it was bat flu. They didn't say what it was. They just said it's a thing and it's happening. And so what we need to do is we need to make sure that these emergency groups are all talking to one another. So they had 350 health emergency groups that were connected over 2 days. That's a lot of money to do that. Okay. 15 countries were represented. I just read the list. 20 regional health agencies were involved in this as well. I mentioned some of those. And they said that their plan for this was, quote, to test a new global coordination mechanism for health emergencies. Okay. This was the World Health Organization through a group called Global Health Emergency Corps, GHEC. You'll see that acronym from time to time. It's a subset of the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization, for those of you that might have forgotten, is part of the United Nations. And the United Nations was started by David Rockefeller. And David Rockefeller is deeply involved in eugenics, or at least he was, before he was moved off of this plane. And if there is a hell, and I don't know if there is, but if there is a hell, I imagine the entire Rockefeller family is having a reunion down there, among others. But when these guys get together to start talking about testing global coordination mechanisms, I get nervous. Because we've seen what they did the last few times they've gotten together to coordinate their response. Now, admittedly, with COVID, they should have had a couple more simulations, because they really botched it. They made some catastrophic errors in judgment when it came to rolling that out. I think they overestimated their ability to scare the shit out of everybody. There's a segment of the population that all you have to do is yell boo, and they're going to freak out, okay? And they're going to get in line and stand on the dot and go the direction down the aisles that you want them to. Right? They're going to be compliant no matter what. They're sheeple people. They're not bad people. They just are unmoored, unanchored. They float around and go with whatever the prevailing sentiment is. And if enough of the people in the group say, we're doing this, then they do that. And if the government says you have to do this, then they do it. Right? We are not like that. We don't float out there in the ocean waiting for someone to tell us which direction to sail. We are already on our own course, and we're not sitting around waiting for instructions from the state. That's what weak-minded people do. And we know far better than to do that. But I'll tell you who was there, besides 15 countries and 20 regional health agencies and 350 health emergency groups. Tedros, the terrorist, was there, whoring himself out as he always does, talking about, quote, cooperation is not only possible, it is essential. Okay, so you guys are all talking about getting together and cooperating. Would you describe that as conspiring? Because you see, I've been called a conspiracy theorist for theorizing that people might be getting together conspiring. Would you not call getting together in a form of cooperation as conspiring as well? I mean, the answer is you're all conspiring, and this isn't theoretical. Okay. Let me go through this, and what this says is, I'm going to read some little clips from it. Each country participated through its National Health Emergency Coordination Structure, worked under real-life conditions to share information, align policies, and activate their response. So, conspiring. We're getting together to conspire. We want all of the other health agencies to do the same thing that we're telling them to do here. We want them all to go back home and put this into place. And then when we have one of these global health emergencies, we want you to dust off this document, and we want you to remember exactly how we told you to act. That's a conspiracy. You can call it practice if you want, but they are getting together to conspire, to commit a crime. The crime is the global lockdown of society. During COVID, it was over a fake virus with a 99.98% survivability rate and a median death age of 80. Those are their statistics, not mine. I mean, don't even get me into the death statistics because they're lower, you know? Anyway, the World Health Organization ran the exercise, and they were available for countries to coordinate with for emergencies and support. This is what they told these countries. We're going to be here with you. We're going to walk you through this process in exercise Polaris. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves available to you in the future, should you need us. We, the World Health Organization. And more than likely, you're going to get financial support as long as you stay cool and connected to the WHO. I mean, they say that, you can coordinate with us for emergencies and support. They don't list what that support is, whether it's financial or moral support. Hang in there, guys. It's just Tedros patting you on the back. Hang in there, buddy. You're doing great. You're doing a great job. That's all you get is moral support from them. That would be funny. No, they'll give you money. If you come out and say that you're going to be part of this depopulation agenda, they'll most definitely give you money. And you'll get moral support, too. You might even get a pat on the back from old Tedros. It goes on to say, it provided a rare opportunity for governments to test preparedness in a realistic environment, like a New York City conference room. You mean that realistic environment? You fucking lunatics. One where trust and mutual accountability were as critical as speed and capacity. I mean, what a bullshit Barnum statement if I've ever heard one. Oh yeah, trust it. When I think of the World Health Organization, I just the words that come to my mind are trust and accountability. God damn. Talk about just faking it till you make it. I mean, my goodness. So anyway, the group that ran this for the World Health Organization is a group called Health Emergencies Program, and they spell program with a fancy E at the end, so it's European. They ran the simulation. A guy named Dr. Mike Ryan was the executive director of it. He was sort of the lead ringleader of this whole thing, and he said that this, quote, showed what is possible when countries operate with urgency and unity supported by well-connected partners. It is a strong signal that we are collectively more ready than we were. Sounds like a threat to me. Sounds like they're ready to go. He's trying. Well, Mike Ryan at the World Health Organization is saying, we're ready. Like after this simulation that we went through, we were so impressed with the 15 countries and the 20 regional health agencies and the 350 health emergency groups getting coordinated. We feel so comfortable that we're ready to play tomorrow. This is like a coach getting his team all like, practiced well all week, went over the game plan, installed some new plays, ready for Sunday. Sunday can't come fast enough. It's great if you're playing a football game. Not great when you're waiting for a pandemic. When you're telling the world, we're ready. We're just waiting for one. Really? You're waiting for one, are you? They're coming back. They're coming back. They're coming back, and they're going to try this again because we didn't firebomb them in their fucking homes the last time. This is what you get. This is what you get when you allow these people to roam free, when they should rightly be in cages for what they did. Bill Gates has yet to be dragged down to the police station and beaten with a rubber baton and asked how you know these things are coming in advance. How do you know this? So, moving on. So the question is, what is the World Health Organization doing? Well, they haven't given up on their pandemic treaty dreams. Do you remember the pandemic treaty? It didn't pass. So, spoiler alert, there's the good news. It didn't pass, but they didn't forget about it either. It just barely didn't pass. And you know that they've gone back to their Bond villain lair, and they're plotting and scheming for how they can do this the next time and learn from their mistakes. The plan of the pandemic treaty, had it passed, wouldn't matter what you did in your country as far as who you elected to be your president, prime minister, governor, whatever. None of it would have mattered because the World Health Organization would have been in a position due to this document that they would have had seniority over your elected officials, your constitution. None of it would have mattered. The plan is to strip the sovereignty away from nation states and give it to the World Health Organization during times of emergencies. Now, times of emergencies is a very gray area because, I just heard RFK Jr. say that the greatest health emergency that the United States is facing is anti-Semitism, which would be a hilarious statement if it wasn't so troubling. But you can just envision a world in which, times of emergency, we have a anti-Semitism emergency here. Time to lock everybody in their homes and make them wear yellow stars. Oh, wait, no, we can't wear yellow stars. Would be a bad one. Make them wear masks. Again, whatever. The public health decision-making would be in the hands of a Rockefeller dynasty institution like the United Nations / World Health Organization. Imagine this. COVID hits. Let's say COVID hits and the pandemic treaty had been signed already. No, let's do this. Let's say the pandemic treaty they take another crack at it. It gets signed, and then we have another COVID-2 electric boogaloo, right? It breaks out this time. And you go, what are we going to do, President Trump? Are you going to do Operation Warp Speed? Are you going to bring in Fauci again? Are we going to do this whole song and dance where we close down society and then we make restaurants build their inside restaurants in an outside tent but make it look exactly like the inside, but you can't be inside because there's COVID, but you can be inside in a tent because there's no COVID there because it's a Thursday night and everybody knows COVID doesn't work on a Thursday night. I mean, what are we going to do this whole thing? The answer is my hands are tied. As the President of the United States, my hands are tied. I don't have the authority. You're going to have to talk to Tedros. He's in charge now. Now, that sounds crazy, and you may think there's never a possibility that that's going to happen. And I'm here to tell you it almost happened. It almost happened in the United States. They were so close to signing away their sovereignty to the Rockefellers. I mean, it took 200 years. They finally got it. Control of this country. So again, if you think that the World Health Organization is they're just concerned about the health of the world, and they're an organization. It's all in the name. It's World Health Organization. They're just doctors caring about you. No. It's a front group for depopulation. And it's controlled by the Rockefeller family. Now, most of the legendary Rockefellers are dead, but their work remains, and all of the, and there are family members still around. They're inbred, of course, but still rich and still very dangerous. And you have to think what is... you have to really kind of understand the history of the Rockefellers and the Flexner report. We're talking about, you have to go back 100 years, 1910, 115 years to get to when the Rockefellers took control of the medical schools and then ultimately created the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma, all of that, none of that existed in the 1800s. This is a creation of the last century. Allopathic medicine, petroleum-based pills. This is all Rockefeller stuff. Now, we were born into this world, and our parents were born into this world, and we don't know any different. But things were not the same before the Rockefellers got involved in the medical industry, and they have used the certification scam to get you licensed to be a doctor. You don't get to be licensed to be a doctor with your homeopathic ways and your herbal remedies. They just flunk you. You have to get on board with their program. And their program is not about making people healthy. It's about treating sick people. It's not fixing sick people. It's not getting sick people healthy. It's treating sick people. Treating them like shit, if you're in America, because we have the sickest population out there. And death by medical industry is number 3 behind heart disease and cancer in the United States. Here's a quote from Dr. Francis Boyle. An attempt to take over the United States of America by using the World Health Organization as a front group for that purpose. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. Dr. Francis Boyle can see what's going on here. It's exactly what it is. The funding for the World Health Organization comes from Bill Gates, Big Pharma, China, the World Economic Forum, and the biowarfare section of the military-industrial complex. And they all made a calculation several decades ago that the vehicle that would be used to drive this is the World Health Organization. And roughly the same time that decision was made, they also voted that the United Nations as a whole, the parent company of the World Health Organization, would be the driving force towards world government. That they would use, of all the groups that they could have used, the calculation was made that the United Nations group was the most suited for the task. And under that umbrella, you have the World Health Organization. So, and again, for those that don't have the background on the World Health Organization and you just sort of casually heard about it and assume that it's out there for, to improve the health of people around the world, the group running Kissinger's plan, the NSSC 200 memorandum from 74, the group that implemented its plan just several months later was the World Health Organization. This is the group that put the plan in place, took Kissinger's plan and ran with it for depopulation. So again, when the group that is telling you we're going to have another pandemic and you're going to have to be scared, and we're coordinating with all these amazing groups out here, we're just out here practicing until we get it right. That group was the group depopulating the 13 countries that Kissinger told you about. So which is it? Are you trying to save humanity or are you trying to murder humanity? You can't be doing both. It's very tough to take the World Health Organization seriously as this force for good around the world when they get busted putting sterilants in the tetanus vaccines in Kenya. And this isn't 75 years ago. This is 2014 that this happened. And they said, well, sure, we were doing it there. And sure, we were doing it for a decade. And maybe we were doing it in other countries besides just Kenya. But what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Take the World Health Organization away in handcuffs? We could have after the COVID debacle. Nothing happened. How many people has Pam Bondi arrested? How many people has Kash Patel kicked down the doors? Where's the video of Anthony Fauci getting led away in handcuffs? I'm waiting. I'm actually not waiting because I know how this game works and these people are never going to be held accountable. The only way you are going to get any accountability is if you're out for dinner one night and you're walking to your table and you happen to notice that Anthony Fauci is sitting at a table by you with his wife having a nice dinner. The only accountability is when somebody grabs a steak knife and plunges it into his heart. That is the only way that man will be held accountable. When somebody goes rogue and does something crazy. But if you're waiting for the authorities to bring him down, he's a made man. That's never going to happen. So back to this treaty. The pandemic treaty. Because here's the thing. That's the end goal. if you ask, what is this all about? What are they doing these simulations? What are they doing these COVIDs and whatever? They're doing them to create the pretense and justification for some sweeping legislation to come in and save the day. And that legislation is the pandemic treaty. It almost got passed. And had it been passed, we would be having a very different story, a very different conversation about this. So here's the interesting component about this treaty, too. The treaty would automatically come into effect immediately upon its signature. This is unheard of. Okay, the minute you sign it, the treaty immediately comes into effect. And you go, well, isn't there supposed to be like an emergency? And you go, there is an emergency. The emergency is that we need to be in power. It doesn't say that you have to, that the emergency has to fit some sort of magic criteria where it's like, oh, it requires, I don't know, 1 million people dead, or it doesn't matter. Even if it did, they'd go around it anyway. But the fact that this treaty would come into effect immediately upon its signature, people that were taking a look at this were going, we've never seen anything like that. That's crazy. It basically just coming right out and saying, this is Emperor Palpatine, right? I had to go Star Wars on you, asking for emergency powers. I will give these powers back once the threat is subsided. No, they won't, because there'll be a new threat. There'll be another one. Bird flu 2, bird flu 3, whatever. Here's the interesting thing. And this does not require any speculation. You just have to envision a scenario in which the pandemic treaty got approved. But if you did live in that world and they said, well, listen, it got signed, it'd be really boring, a really boring sort of thing. It would get signed on the last day of the year when everybody's at a New Year's Eve party, kind of like the National Defense Authorization Act and Smith Modernization Act and all that horse shit that gets signed in at the last day when nobody's paying attention. It'd be one of those things, right? It'd get kind of like, nobody would talk about it. The media would intentionally, they might mention it once or twice, but they wouldn't really they wouldn't dwell on it, of course, because they wouldn't want you to look into it. But what would happen is that Tedros would become a medical dictator, running a medical police state. Not my opinion. That's the facts. He would be in charge of the world. He is in charge of the World Health Organization, and the World Health Organization would have sovereignty over all of the nations. They would be in control over all of them. It'd be like, here's the government, and we've got something above government. What is above government? I despise governments. The idea of something above it, it's obviously going to be worse. But what are you talking about? What is it? Well, it's the World Health Organization. They're in charge now, not you. The end goal of all of this, global biomedical totalitarian surveillance state, where you're surveilled 24/7 because, you might be sick, and we will track you medically. PCR tests are garbage, but PCR tests would be a thing, right? Oh, you've tested positive, and they can make those tests sing and dance however they want to. Just crank up the cycle thresholds enough, and you go, oh, you tested positive for AIDS or whatever. This is the world that they want. This is it. Let's move on. Let's continue on this. From the document allowing the World Health Organization, quote, this is what they say in this exercise Polaris. They want the World Health Organization, quote, to tackle false, misleading misinformation or disinformation. Oh, because you guys did such a good job with all the COVID disinformation, misinformation, and misleading facts. And, ivermectin is horse. You're not a horse. Don't eat that. don't take your vitamins, don't get out in the sun, don't do any of that. Sit at home, wait for us to tell you when to, wear a mask when you're in your car by yourself, do all that stuff. Where's the, you mean, so when the World Health Organization is concerned about false, misleading information or disinformation, what they're really worried about is the truth. They are the ones that are pushing false, misleading, misinformation, and disinformation. They are the ones that said 3 weeks to flatten the curve or 6 feet apart. Remember that? Oh, you got to be 6 feet apart. And then the people were like, if you walked anywhere near somebody, they're like, you got to get away from me. And then Fauci had to admit that number was made up. You remember that? Would that be misleading misinformation? Would that be disinformation or just straight up bullshit? How would you classify that? Why isn't the World Health Organization tackling Fauci? Maybe literally tackling Fauci. Will you please go out there and tackle Fauci? And Deborah Birx and all those other fuckers that were involved in it. Bill Gates, Donald Trump, all these anti-science lunatics. Peter Hotez, that elf. Peter Hotez is in the disinformation business. That's the reason why when he's doing interviews from his home, he wears his white lab coat. You treating your dog? What do you do? Are you taking house calls? Are people coming over to your home and you have the coat on? No, because it's psychological. Appeal to authority. Wear the white lab coat. First of all, take one look at Peter Hotez. Take a look at half the doctors out there. You go, boy, you're in charge of health? You look like shit. I wouldn't take health advice from Peter Hotez if my life depended on it. So anyway, they're in this document, they're very concerned about misinformation. They're worried about the truth. So here comes the censorship, 100 times worse than during the COVID years, because this time they've learned their lesson. They learned that there's people like us out there that like to talk about inconvenient truths, like how vaccines are a stain on humanity, and extremely dangerous, and don't work, and all that stuff. Can't have that. Can't have that disinformation out there. So here they are prepping the groundwork and coordinating with all these countries to tackle disinformation because they know they're going to be doing some lying, and there's going to be people like us pointing it out, and then they want everybody to reflexively say, that's the disinformation. Anything that goes against the official narrative equals disinformation. Remember what Jacinda Ardern said in New Zealand. We are the only arbiters of truth. Any information that doesn't come from us is not the truth. Really? You don't say. It's funny, you guys got everything wrong. We've been right about everything. You've been wrong about everything. But we're the disinformation agents. Isn't that funny? By the way, don't suck the devil's dick. If you do, you'll wind up looking like Jacinda Ardern. Okay? It's not good. Or you'll be rocking back and forth like Chrystia Freeland does. That coked up lunatic in Canada. They also, in this document, they agree to both surveillance and censorship. So they're not going to disprove the conspiracy theorists with facts. No. They're going to surveil them, and then they're going to censor them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they also handcuffed them and took them to jail. Because you can already get arrested in London for calling some non-binary lunatic a tranny on Facebook. The police will come to your house and put you in handcuffs and take you away. So they most definitely will do something similar when you're pointing out the next biomedical fraud. please continue to do it because they can't arrest all of us. I'm just saying, don't act surprised if it actually winds up happening. And I think it's important to realize the pivot that was made sometime in the last 60 years. If you listen to the speeches that were given at the United Nations, or you read some of the notes from Bilderberg, back in the 60s and 70s, they were pushing for world government. This is one of those things. We're going to take over the world. We'll group it up into regions. Like the European Commission, the EU, the North American Union, right? We'll click up a couple of these countries into bigger groups, and then we'll control the group, and then ultimately we'll piece them all together into this world government, and it will run a United Nations flag, and everybody will be united, and we'll have a world army to fight, I don't know, I guess Martians or something, but definitely not the people. Wink, wink. So that was the plan. That had always been the plan. World government, and they were hell bent on that. Somewhere after that, a decision was made. Maybe a calculation was made that it's really tough to roll tanks on every street corner and beat people into submission for not going along with this new world order. And in fact, the top-down authoritarian component where you scare people with the military, it's pretty inefficient and it wouldn't work very well. They don't have the army for it, and they've got a lot of money, but they don't have that much money. And it just seems like it would be a little bit too tall of an order. So a calculation was made to go away from world government and settle on world governance, which allows you to put crooked doctors and globalists in charge of the World Health Organization and take control legally without ever needing to fire a shot. And that's where we are. It's not going to be a world government with everybody flying the same flag. That would be too obvious. In asking people that are nationalistic in their belief system to give up their country, I mean, I don't give a shit. But a lot of people out there, America, man, fucking love it or leave it. Like you could take this gun from me when you pry it from my cold dead hands and all that stuff. Those people will fight back if you put blue helmets on the street corner. Okay, blue helmets make for great targets too. Every redneck knows that. They'll pick those guys off pretty fast. But what if it came legally instead of through brute force? It came through the pen. It'd be much easier, less messy, probably be more effective too. And so that is the situation that we have right now, is that the World Health Organization has made a calculation that the best way to take control of the world is to create a global pandemic that once this designation kicks off that this is a pandemic that is sweeping the world, that the legality of the contract kicks in and moves them up into first position above the laws of the nation state. Now, you may be saying, I'm in America, and in America we have free speech. Well, not when the World Health Organization's in charge. You're in second position, and that Constitution doesn't matter anymore. The Constitution does not matter these days much at all. But envision a scenario in which it's not COVID, it's something much worse. Because this time around, they didn't just put out propaganda videos and dancing nurses and things like that. This time around, they made sure that it actually murdered a bunch of people. Maybe it's poison gas that they're spraying on people. Allow your imagination to run wild. But you can dream of a situation where this time it's real, right? This time it's a real problem, and it gets everybody's attention, and everybody is legitimately scared. Their plan is to roll out vaccine passports. We got part of that during COVID, and people went, nope, we're not doing that, right? It's not serious enough of a situation to warrant you needing to see my vaccine records before I'm able to get on a bus or get on an airplane or something like that. They false started on this. They went a little too early. They got too, whether that's they felt some sort of pressure that they needed to hurry and wrap this thing up and get this global enslavement going sooner rather than later. I don't know. But for whatever reason, it felt like they moved too fast during COVID, made a lot of mistakes, did not have the fear dialed up to 11 like they thought they did. And a lot of people went, no, this whole thing looks fake. I'm not participating in this. I'm not getting vaccines. And I think the numbers I saw were about 70% of people took at least one vaccine in the United States. Numbers varied and depending on the country you were in. But a lot of the Western world, if you were to say 70% for one vaccine, you're pretty good. Numbers start to drop off for the second one. They drop considerably for the 2 boosters, but the 2 boosters weren't recommended for everybody. They really wanted to get rid of the older population with them. And so that's why you'll find a lot of people 65 and older that have taken 4 shots. They're cooked. They just don't know it yet. But the play here is that the vaccine passports were dud. They did not work. It wasn't going to happen. It's too early. But what do we have going on right now? Real ID. The push for Real ID. Real ID tied to eventually, not off the bat, right? Because you can't convince everybody to get the Real ID and tell them it's going to be tied to a health passport. But eventually, it will be. You just have to understand how this works. It's the totalitarian tiptoe, right? First step in that tiptoe is get the Real ID legalized. Then the next step will be, what can we load into it? Can we load a health passport to it? Bet your ass we can. Easy to do. We can make the mRNA mandatory, and then we can tie it to the Real ID, so that when you scan your Real ID, if you haven't taken the mandatory mRNA vaccines, you're going to get a beep, 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 beep every time you try and swipe it when you're trying at TSA trying to get through he's going to look at it and go, "Hey, you're not good in the system, man. You haven't had the vaccines. I'm sorry, I can't let you in. Can't get on this flight. Can't go through security even." That's the direction they want to go. I'm not saying that it's going to be flawless, and I'm not saying it's going to be rolled out next month, but that's the direction they want to go. UBI, Universal Basic Income, tied to vaccination requirements. Can you envision a scenario in which it is? Oh, yeah. Would it be tied to your Real ID? Possibly. I mean, because the Real ID is a Trojan horse that gets filled up with all kinds of things. Vaccine passports, universal basic income information, stats about who you are, what your political leanings are, might even be tied to your social media accounts. Now, you might not know that it's tied. You might not be the one tying it to all of this. But what's going on in the background? What's going on with Doge, where they're clearing out all these retarded federal workers that need to go away? I fully support federal workers being fired. ... However, the reason why they're getting fired is because they're no longer needed, because the AI will take care of most of this. You can't have some underpaid moron who works at Health and Human Services trying to make this, like, let me go put them in, let me put them in the system and connect them to, no, it'll all be done automatically. Unable to go to work without showing proof of vaccines. Unable to open a bank account without your, when you give them your real ID, it's going to come up as, yeah, the ID's good on your vaccines. We can't open this bank account. I can't rent you this apartment. I can't rent you this apartment, you dirty anti-vaxxer. We pulled your credit. They pull your credit when you go apply for a apartment. Maybe you want to buy a car. It's just going to come back as denied. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're not up to date on your vaccines. So they tried the vaccine passports as a standalone, didn't work. Back to the drawing board. Why don't we do this? We'll make it less scary. We'll do the real ID. It's like your ID that you've already got in your wallet. It's kind of like a hybrid between your passport and your ID. It's just a fancy, more high-tech ID. This would be great, right? Don't say the vaccine thing. Don't mention that, right? Whatever you do, don't freak them out. We want to get all these people onto the real ID. And then 2 years from now, oh, by the way, we're connecting it into your health records. For your safety, of course, for your safety. That'll be the sales pitch. Well, listen, what if you get hit by a bus and you're unconscious and we don't know what blood type you are and we don't know if you're fully vaccinated, but you've got a real ID card in your wallet that, and they wheel you into the emergency room and the doctor pulls your wallet out and scans it through and says, oh, we know what type of blood this guy needs. And oh, boy, by the way, he hasn't had any of his vaccines. We'll fix that right now. Before he goes into surgery, make sure he gets his 18 different MMR vaccines. I'm sorry, but I can see the direction this is headed, and I don't love it. Okay. They tried the carrot during COVID. Here comes the stick. They tried to be nice. The next time around, it won't go as well. I don't know. When I see these workshops, Event 201, Atlantic Storm, Crimson Contagion, SPARS, I get very nervous. It does not set my mind at ease. It does not make me think that these people are practicing so that they get it right for us. I go the opposite direction. I think these people are conspiring. They're plotting another fake pandemic. It will be global. It will be everywhere. And it will be bullshit. Hey, everybody, if you like this episode, you can take the additional step right now of sharing it with your friends and family. Go scroll down there and rate this show. God damn it. If you think I've earned it, I appreciate it. If you want to connect with me, macroaggressions.io. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you again soon.